Discipline is not punishment, it is freedom. This single truth, if you embrace it, can transform your life. Napoleon Hill, in Outwitting the Devil, revealed that the greatest enemy of mankind is drifting, the habit of living without direction, without clarity, without persistence. And what is the antidote to drifting? Discipline, the ability to control your mind, your actions, and your habits so that they serve your definite purpose instead of your distractions. Drifting is comfortable. That is why it destroys so many lives. It whispers, take it easy. Do it tomorrow. Don't push yourself. Just go with the flow. And millions obey, not realizing that drifting is not harmless. It is fatal. Drifting leads to wasted potential, broken dreams, and regret. The devil himself, in Hill's allegory, admitted that 98% of people are controlled by drifting. Only the disciplined escape. So let's redefine discipline. Most people think of it as restriction, as punishment, as denial. But Hill, and every great achiever he studied, saw it differently. Discipline is the structure that gives you freedom. Without it, you are a slave to impulses, emotions, and circumstances. With it, you are the master of yourself, your destiny, and your future. Discipline is not about what you lose. It is about what you gain: freedom, clarity, achievement, and peace of mind. Think about a river. Without boundaries, water becomes a swamp, stagnant, lifeless, drifting in every direction. With boundaries, water becomes a river, powerful, directed, capable of producing energy and life. Discipline is the boundary that turns your energy into power. Without it, you drift and stagnate. With it, you flow toward destiny. So how do you develop discipline? Hill pointed to 3 key practices: routines, personal pacts, and accountability. These are the pillars of what I call the discipline protocol. They're not complicated. They're not impossible. They're simple, repeatable methods that anyone can use. And if you commit to them daily, they will transform drifting into direction. Let's begin with routines. Routine is simply discipline automated. Instead of relying on willpower each day, you create a system. You decide once and repeat forever. This is why successful people have morning rituals, work rituals, and evening rituals. They remove decision fatigue by programming their day. Hill insisted that definiteness of purpose must be backed by definite plans. Routines are those plans. For example, a morning routine may include reading your definite chief aim, affirmations, exercise, and focused work on your most important task. Doing this every morning without fail creates momentum that carries you through the day. An evening routine may include reflection, gratitude, and planning the next day. With these routines, you control the bookends of your day, and by controlling the start and the finish, you influence everything in between. But routines alone are not enough. You need personal pacts. These are commitments you make to yourself that are non-negotiable. A pact is more powerful than a wish because it carries weight. It is an agreement you refuse to break. For example, I will wake up at 6 a.m. every day, no matter what. Or, I will write 500 words every day, no matter how I feel. Or, I will exercise 4 times per week, no excuses. The strength of a pact is that it eliminates negotiation. When the alarm rings, you don't ask, "Do I feel like getting up?" The pact is already decided. You obey your pact, not your mood. This is where most people fail. They let feelings decide. Discipline decides before feelings arrive. If you live by feelings, you drift. If you live by pacts, you direct. Hill called this self-discipline, the ability to control your own mind. Without it, you're vulnerable to every whisper of doubt and every wave of emotion. With it, you are steady, unshakable, unstoppable. The third pillar is accountability. Discipline grows stronger in community. When you share your goals, when you declare your pacts publicly, when you allow others to check on you, you multiply your persistence. This is why Hill emphasized the mastermind principle. Alone, discipline can falter. Together, discipline becomes reinforced. Accountability partners, mentors, coaches, or communities create an environment where drifting is harder and direction is easier. Think of it like a gym. Alone, you may skip, but with a partner waiting, you show up. Alone, you may quit after 10 reps. With a coach pushing, you do 15. Accountability makes discipline non-optional. It removes excuses. It transforms good intentions into consistent action. But let's be real, discipline is not easy. At first, it feels like resistance. Your old habits scream. Your comfort zone begs you back. Doubt whispers, you can't keep this up. This is normal. Hill warned that the devil attacks hardest when you try to escape drifting. But persistence breaks the resistance. Each day you keep the pact, follow the routine, and honor the accountability, the voice of doubt grows weaker. Soon, what was once effort becomes habit. What was once struggle becomes nature. Here is the beauty of discipline. The pain is temporary, but the freedom is permanent. Waking early may hurt at first, but it gives you hours of focused work. Exercising may feel heavy at first, but it gives you health and energy. Saving money may feel like sacrifice at first, but it gives you security and abundance. The pain of discipline is measured in minutes. The freedom it gives is measured in decades. So let's rewrite the story. Discipline is not punishment. It is freedom. It is the structure that protects you from drifting, the protocol that builds your destiny. With routines, you automate success. With pacts, you remove negotiation. With accountability, you multiply persistence. These three pillars form the discipline protocol. And if you commit to them, you will escape drifting and rise into destiny. Discipline begins in the ordinary. Too often, people imagine discipline as some grand, heroic act, waking up at 4 a.m., running marathons, building empires overnight. But Napoleon Hill understood the truth. Discipline is built in small, simple actions repeated daily until they become identity. It's not about one giant leap. It's about countless small steps. And anyone can start today. Let's talk about routines. A routine is simply a sequence of actions you repeat every day, no matter what. It's the foundation of discipline because it removes decision-making. Instead of asking, what should I do next? You already know. The brain loves patterns, and once a routine is established, it takes less energy to maintain than to break. Here's an example of a morning routine. Wake up at the same time every day, preferably early. Consistency builds rhythm. Drink water immediately to rehydrate and signal your body it's time to wake. Read your definite chief aim or affirmation statement out loud. This programs your subconscious with purpose. Move your body for at least 15 to 30 minutes. Exercise wakes your mind and strengthens your discipline. Spend 10 minutes visualizing your goals for the day and the future. Begin your most important task before checking messages or distractions. Notice how simple it is. But if done daily, it becomes a fortress against drifting. It tells your body, your mind, and your spirit, we are in control. We are directing this day. An evening routine might look like this. Write down 3 wins from the day, no matter how small. This builds momentum and gratitude. Review your definite chief aim again before sleep, visualizing it as already accomplished. Prepare your environment for the next day. Clothes ready, workspace clear. Reflect. Did I honor my routines and pacts today? If not, why? What will I change tomorrow? Disconnect from screens and go to bed at a consistent hour to protect rest and recovery. With these bookends, morning and night, you lock discipline into the 2 most powerful parts of the day. Control the start and the finish, and the middle begins to follow. Now, let's move to personal pacts. A pact is a non-negotiable promise to yourself. Unlike goals, which can feel distant, a pact is immediate. It's a rule, a law, something you obey no matter how you feel. This is where most people fail. They negotiate with themselves. They say, maybe I'll wake up early tomorrow. Maybe I'll exercise if I have time. Maybe I'll write if I feel inspired. That's drifting. A pact removes negotiation. Here are some examples of pacts you could create. I wake up at 6 a.m. every day without exception. I exercise at least 4 times per week, no excuses. I write 500 words every day before touching my phone. I save 10% of every dollar I earn automatically. I spend 1 hour daily learning or studying something that grows my mind. The power of a pact is not in its size, but in its consistency. Small pacts, honored daily, build massive identity. Every time you keep a pact, you send a message to your subconscious. I am disciplined. I am trustworthy. I do what I say. And over time, you begin to see yourself differently. You stop identifying as lazy or inconsistent. You become the kind of person who follows through. But what happens when you break a pact? The key is to design consequences. For example, if you miss your writing pact, you must donate $20 to a cause you dislike. If you skip your workout, you must double the next one. The consequence adds weight, reminding you that pacts are serious. Hill emphasized that drifting begins in small compromises. Every broken promise weakens you. Every honored promise strengthens you. Finally, let's talk about accountability. Hill called it the mastermind principle, 2 or more people working together in harmony for a definite purpose. Accountability is discipline multiplied. Alone, it's easy to slip. With others watching, drifting becomes harder. Here are some ways to build accountability. Accountability partner. Choose a friend who shares your commitment to growth. Share your pacts with each other. Check in daily or weekly. Celebrate wins and challenge excuses. Mentor or coach. Invest in someone who will push you beyond your comfort zone. A mentor doesn't accept your excuses, they expose them. Community. Join a group aligned with your goals. Fitness groups, writing circles, mastermind communities all create environments where discipline is expected, not optional. Public declaration. Announce your commitment publicly, on social media, to your family, to your team. The social pressure strengthens discipline. For example, if your chief aim is to write a book, find a group of writers. Share your pact to write 500 words daily. If your chief aim is fitness, hire a trainer or join a gym class. If your chief aim is financial, find an accountability group focused on budgeting and saving. The key is environment. Alone, your discipline is fragile. In community, it is reinforced. Let's paint a picture. Imagine 2 people starting a journey. The first says, I want to be more disciplined. He sets vague goals, has no routine, no pact, no accountability. For a few days, he tries. Then he skips. Then he forgets. A month later, he's the same. He drifted. The second writes a morning routine, creates 3 pacts, and tells a friend to check on him weekly. He struggles at first. The alarm feels early. The workouts feel hard. The writing feels slow. But he persists. His friend texts him daily. Did you do it? The pacts remind him. This is non-negotiable. After 30 days, he feels stronger, more focused. After 90 days, discipline is no longer effort. It is identity. After a year, his life is unrecognizable. That is the discipline protocol in action. It's not about superhuman willpower. It's about creating structures, routines, pacts, and accountability that make drifting impossible. And here's the most beautiful truth. Discipline, once trained, becomes freedom. The writer who keeps his pact finishes his book. The entrepreneur who guards his routine builds his business. The athlete who trains daily masters his body. The saver who honors his commitment builds wealth. They are not restricted. They are free. Free to live with purpose. Free to create impact. Free to rise above drifting. Discipline is not a temporary fix. It is a permanent transformation. Napoleon Hill taught that drifting is not broken by a single burst of effort, but by the establishment of habits so strong that they carry you forward without thought. The real power of discipline is when it ceases to feel like discipline and begins to feel like identity. At that point, you no longer force yourself, you simply are. Think about how habits are formed. At first, every action feels heavy. Waking up early is painful. Saying no to distractions is uncomfortable. Following through on commitments feels unnatural. But the brain is adaptable. With repetition, the unfamiliar becomes familiar, the difficult becomes easier, and the temporary effort becomes permanent behavior. Hill knew this. The subconscious mind thrives on repetition. What you do daily, you become. So how do you convert discipline into permanent habit? First, start small but consistent. Many fail because they attempt too much too soon. They declare, "I will completely transform my life overnight." But discipline is a muscle. It grows with progressive overload. Begin with 1 or 2 packs that you can honor daily. Maybe it's reading your definite chief aim every morning. Maybe it's exercising 15 minutes daily. Maybe it's saving a small percentage of income. Once that becomes natural, add more. Small victories build identity. Identity builds momentum. Momentum builds transformation. Second, tie discipline to purpose. If you see discipline as arbitrary rules, you will resist. But if you connect it to your burning desire, it becomes fuel. Hill insisted that desire is the starting point of all achievement. Discipline is the guardrail that protects desire. When you know why you're waking early, saving money, or saying no to distractions, you're more likely to persist. Always remind yourself, this habit is not punishment. It is progress toward my purpose. Third, remove negotiation. The disciplined never ask, "Do I feel like it?" They decide once, and the habit executes. If you negotiate every morning with your alarm clock, discipline dies. If you negotiate every night about whether to read your aim, drifting wins. Decide once, execute forever. Hill warned that indecision is the tool of the devil. It opens the door to doubt, fear, and excuses. Decide and refuse to reopen the case. Fourth, build rituals around discipline. Rituals make habits sticky. For example, if your pact is exercise, always wear the same shoes, listen to the same music, or follow the same warm-up. If your pact is writing, always sit in the same place with the same pen or keyboard. Rituals trigger the mind. It is time to act. Over time, your body responds automatically. The ritual reduces resistance and increases flow. Fifth, track progress. What is measured improves. Keep a journal of your discipline. Mark each day you keep your pact. Review weekly. Celebrate streaks. This creates a feedback loop that motivates persistence. Hill taught that persistence is strengthened by evidence of progress. When you see how far you've come, quitting feels foolish. Sixth, embrace discomfort. Discipline requires doing what you don't feel like doing. At first, discomfort feels like pain, but over time, you learn to love it. Why? Because you realize discomfort is proof of growth. Each time you act despite feelings, you break drifting. Each time you persist despite resistance, you strengthen character. Hill emphasized that adversity is not the enemy, it is the forge. Discipline is born in discomfort and matured in persistence. Now let's connect this to Hill's deeper teaching. Self-discipline is mind control. In Outwitting the Devil, he revealed that the devil's greatest weapon is controlling the minds of drifters through fear, doubt, and indecision. But the disciplined escape because they control their own minds. Self-discipline is not just about habits. It is about sovereignty. It is the declaration, my mind obeys me. My body obeys me. My emotions serve me. I do not serve them. Think about it. Without discipline, your mind is a battlefield. Doubt plants thoughts of failure. Fear plants images of loss. Laziness plants excuses. And because you lack control, you obey every whisper. You drift. But with discipline, you seize control. You choose your thoughts deliberately. You repeat your purpose daily. You silence doubt with faith. You starve fear with action. You refuse excuses because your pacts are stronger. Self-discipline turns your mind into a fortress. He'll explain that once a person develops control over their mind, they become untouchable. Circumstances may shift, people may doubt, obstacles may rise, but the disciplined remain steady. They do not react, they respond. They do not drift, they direct. This is why discipline is freedom. It frees you from the slavery of emotion, the tyranny of impulse, and the chains of fear. Let's use a practical metaphor. Imagine your mind as a horse. Without discipline, the horse runs wild, dragging you wherever it wants. Sometimes it sprints, sometimes it rests, sometimes it crashes into danger. But with discipline, you take the reins. You guide the horse. You control the speed, the direction, the destination. The horse is powerful, but power without control is chaos. Discipline gives control. And here's the secret. Once discipline becomes habit, it requires less effort than drifting. At first, drifting feels easier. But drifting leads to regret, and regret is heavy. Discipline feels hard at first, but discipline leads to freedom, and freedom is light. Once your habits are established, they carry you automatically. You no longer fight yourself, you flow with yourself. That is when discipline becomes effortless. Imagine waking up each morning without debating whether to rise. You just do. Imagine exercising without fighting resistance. You just move. Imagine reading your chief aim without reminding yourself. You just crave it. That is discipline as identity. That is the antidote to drifting. So here's the truth. Discipline is not about force. It is about training. You train your mind and body through repetition until obedience becomes natural. Once trained, you no longer struggle. You simply live. And that life is not slavery. It is freedom. Discipline is not only about achieving goals. It is about shaping who you are. Napoleon Hill discovered this truth through decades of research. Every man or woman who rose to greatness was marked not merely by talent, intelligence, or opportunity, but by discipline. It was their ability to govern themselves, to persist when others quit, to stay focused when others drifted. Discipline forges character, and character sustains destiny. Think of Abraham Lincoln. His journey was marked by defeats, failed elections, business setbacks, personal tragedies. Many would have drifted away, surrendering to despair. But Lincoln's discipline was not just political, it was mental. He disciplined his mind to persist, to learn from each failure, to keep rising after every fall. That discipline forged a character so strong that, when his moment came, he could lead a nation through its darkest hour. Or consider Mahatma Gandhi. His discipline was physical, spiritual, and moral. He lived simply, fasted for justice, and held to nonviolence even when attacked. His discipline inspired millions and broke the grip of an empire. Without discipline, his ideals would have been fragile. With discipline, they became unstoppable. His legacy proves that discipline is not about controlling others. It is about controlling yourself in service of a higher purpose. Even in the world of business, the same pattern holds true. Henry Ford's discipline was in focus. He obsessed over efficiency, production, and systems until he transformed transportation. Steve Jobs' discipline was in simplicity. He refused to accept cluttered designs, insisting on elegance and clarity until Apple products embodied his vision. In every case, discipline was not chains, it was character. Hill emphasized that drifting weakens character. Each time you break your own word, each time you give in to excuses, you chip away at self-trust. Over time, you begin to see yourself as weak, unreliable, inconsistent. But discipline strengthens character. Each time you honor a pact, each time you persist despite discomfort, you reinforce self-trust. Over time, you see yourself as strong, reliable, unstoppable, and that identity spills into every area of life. But discipline does more than shape character. It multiplies results. Without discipline, effort is scattered. You try a little here, a little there, but nothing compounds. With discipline, effort is focused. You repeat the same actions daily, and small results stack into massive outcomes. Hill compared it to compounding interest. Small acts of discipline, compounded over time, create extraordinary success. Consider fitness. One workout changes little, but daily workouts sustained by discipline transform the body. Consider writing. One page is small, but one page daily, sustained by discipline, produces a book. Consider finances. Saving $10 once is trivial, but saving consistently, sustained by discipline, builds wealth. Discipline turns the ordinary into the extraordinary by multiplying small actions into big results. This is why Hill insisted that definiteness of purpose must be matched with persistence. Desire without discipline is daydreaming. Discipline without desire is drudgery. But desire with discipline creates destiny. The fire of purpose combined with the structure of discipline produces greatness. And beyond results, discipline creates legacy. People remember character more than achievement. A disciplined life inspires others long after the individual is gone. Think of Nelson Mandela, who endured 27 years in prison with dignity and persistence. His discipline not only freed a nation, but left a model of courage for generations. His legacy was not just political, it was personal. He proved that discipline of mind and spirit can outlast oppression. Your own legacy will be shaped the same way. Your children will remember not only what you achieved, but how you lived. Did you keep your word? Did you persist when life was hard? Did you build habits that carried you forward? Did you discipline your mind against fear and doubt? These daily acts become the inheritance you pass on. Money fades, fame fades, but character, forged by discipline, endures. So let's imagine your future. Imagine living with discipline daily. You wake up on time, read your purpose, act with focus. You honor your pacts without negotiation. You persist through obstacles. Over weeks, you feel stronger. Over months, you see results. Over years, you build a life of freedom, impact, and meaning. And when you look back, you realize every achievement was built not on chance, but on discipline. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine drifting daily. You wake late, react instead of act, break promises to yourself. At first, it feels easy, but over weeks, you feel weaker. Over months, you see little progress. Over years, you live in regret. That is the price of drifting, wasted potential. That is the legacy of indiscipline, emptiness. Hill wanted us to choose, to recognize that drifting is slavery, while discipline is freedom. To see that discipline is not about restriction, but about direction. To understand that discipline is the bridge between desire and destiny. The question is simple. Which life will you choose? Will you drift into regret, or will you discipline yourself into greatness? Will you live by impulse, or will you live by purpose? Will you surrender to excuses, or will you persist with character? The answer shapes not only your results, but your legacy. Discipline is not easy, but it is worth it. It is the price of greatness, the antidote to drifting, the forge of character, the multiplier of results, the foundation of legacy. Hill said it clearly, self-discipline begins with a mastery of thought. If you do not control your thoughts, you cannot control your needs. To discipline yourself is to free yourself. Discipline is not punishment, it is power. It is the bridge between who you are and who you were meant to be. Napoleon Hill showed us that drifting is the silent killer of dreams, the invisible chain that keeps millions trapped. But discipline is the key that breaks those chains. Discipline is how you reclaim your freedom, your future, your purpose. Think about it. Freedom without discipline is an illusion. A person who says, "I'm free because I do whatever I want," is not free. They're a slave to impulses, emotions, and distractions. True freedom is waking up and directing your life with clarity. True freedom is living by design, not default. True freedom is knowing that your habits serve your destiny instead of sabotaging it. Discipline creates that freedom, and discipline is always personal. No one can give it to you. No one can impose it permanently from the outside. It must be chosen, embraced, and lived. Hill said it plainly. Self-discipline is the only thing which gives one the right to one's own thoughts. That means discipline begins in the mind. If you control your thoughts, you control your actions. If you control your actions, you control your habits. If you control your habits, you control your destiny. So let's bring this down to your life. Where are you drifting? Where do you break promises to yourself? Where do you surrender to impulses, to laziness, to fear? That is where you must build discipline. Maybe it's your mornings. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's your focus. Whatever it is, choose one area today. Write one pact. Build one routine. Add one layer of accountability. Start small, but start. Because drifting ends the moment discipline begins. And understand this. Discipline will feel hard at first. Your old self will resist. Doubt will whisper, "This is too much." Comfort will tempt, "Take it easy." Fear will ask, what if you fail? But every time you persist, you weaken the voice of drifting. Every time you keep your word, you strengthen the voice of freedom. Every time you act despite resistance, you build the identity of discipline. And soon, what was once hard becomes easy. What was once foreign becomes natural. What was once effort becomes instinct. This is why discipline is legacy. When you live with discipline, you don't just change your own life, you inspire others. Your children see it. Your friends notice it. Your community feels it. People are drawn to those who live with integrity, focus, and persistence. Your discipline gives others permission to rise. That is why the disciplined shape history while the drifters disappear into it. So here is the truth. Discipline is not chains. It is wings. It does not trap you. It frees you. It does not steal from you. It multiplies you. It is not about saying no to life. It is about saying yes to purpose. And the moment you embrace discipline, you step into a life of clarity, strength, and destiny. Now the choice is in your hands. Will you continue drifting, living by impulse, wasting potential? Or will you embrace discipline, design your routines, honor your pacts, and invite accountability? Will you choose comfort, or will you choose freedom? Will you surrender to doubt, or will you rise in purpose? Because one decision today can change everything. One routine practiced daily. One pact honored consistently. One accountability partner who refuses your excuses. These are small steps, but they transform destinies. That is the discipline protocol. That is the antidote to drifting. That is your path to greatness. And if this message has spoken to you, if it has awakened the fire inside you, then act now. Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't wait until it feels easy. Start today. Write your pact. Create your routine. Share your goal. Commit to discipline. And stay with us. Because here, we are not drifting, we are directing. Here, we are not wasting life, we are building destiny. Here, we are not living by accident, we are living by design. Hit that subscribe button right now. Don't just watch, commit. Don't just agree, act. Join this movement of disciplined dreamers, of purpose-driven achievers, of people who refuse to let drifting steal their future. Discipline is not punishment, it is freedom. And your freedom begins now.